Huh. James, I'm beginning to notice that you have a fondness for throwing things. Things such as furniture, the Smash Bros. Sandbag at me that one time, hammers, yourself off of a cliff thinking there was an invisible wall to stop you, Origami King off of any ledge you find.
Every ledge I find. Miss no opportunities to show God how powerful you are.
Or how much money you can waste on extra copies of an awful game, expensive trips across the world, and skin grafts.
Anyway, throwing things.
Yes, your proclivity for throwing things. I'm noticing this hobby of yours doesn't bring you as much joy as it usually does.
Yeah, as much as I love creating new doorways and windows within our home, it does lack a certain oomph.
Well, James, I have a solution that is part throwing things and part red. The red part is the most important part, obviously.
Because you like the color red?
Love the color red. Miss no opportunity to remind God of the best thing she ever invented. Anyway, throwing things and red. I present to you Flynn, son of Crimson.
Andy, I've played this before. I beat it on stream. It was part of our end-of-year game review last year.
You had me at red.
I'm fully aware this thing exists.
But, James, I have the most minor of feelings that you missed a very important mechanic of this game. Namely, throwing things.
Throwing things?
Your second favorite activity, and you barely even invaded my private space to exposit about it, so now I have to. Flynn, Son of Crimson is a game about demolishing your enemies and obstacles with the power of red. Red claws, a red axe, a red sword, going Super Saiyan God, which has a red aura. To reach the different areas filled with things to beat, you take control of Flynn to traverse several dozen levels of platforming, jumping, and appeasing Yomball.
Gaming's best NPC.
While it's featured in only a handful of levels, throwing things is another integral part of progression in this game. Flynn's various strengths can only overcome so many obstacles, which is why breakable ice walls and explosive walls require a different plan of action.
My favorite plan of action! Throwing things! While this isn't featured in enough levels, you will sometimes come to walls made of indestructible material, very apparent by their stacked, cracked wall texture. These roadblocks can only be broken down by explosive barrels. Barrels you can throw. They explode, breaking down the wall and allowing safe passage. These barrels also have another use that's a bit more dangerous and way more fun.
Throwing them at enemies. Throwables not only stun enemies, but defeat them too. Explosive barrels do a large amount of damage and can hurt Flynn if he's too close. Rocks, which are great for breaking down too hard ice walls, bounce repeatedly until the enemy is defeated or the rock breaks.
I could only get that to happen once though. Luckily I recorded it.
Fun as this mechanic is, it only shows up in very few levels and only involves these two objects. Enemies may not stay stunned long, but throwing goblins and knights at each other would be fun too.
Even so, people who like to see two things smashed together can get a kick out of the few levels it does show up in. It's another tiny skill the game doesn't saturate itself with, much like the Leaf, playing with decks, and the challenge levels. Something that's there to let you experiment and enjoy it, then move on to the next level where another mechanic you missed from earlier in the game awaits you.
Flynn, Son of Crimson has a lot of little specks of exceptional design about it that make it a special and unique experience. From its short runtime to the fact it respects the world as running out of blue and chooses to use the least amount I've ever seen any game ever use.
Nice to see a game take a stand. Save all the blue for me.
That's not what the world should do.
Make a sequel to Flynn featuring a creature who has the power of blue.
That would be terrible.
You just don't want something to upstage your precious red game.
Yes, exactly. Thank you for joining in for this shorter video. We promise it had a point. It's to celebrate Flynn, Son of Crimson's anniversary. Yup, the first anniversary of its release, aptly named Flynnversary. Search the hashtag Flynnversary on Twitter to see other people on Earth who are also celebrating. Check out their content as well. Thank you for joining us. Save your blue, release more red, and don't let James into your home lest he throw things through your wall. Alright, bye. Happy Flynnversary!